Greetings to all and welcome to the Dark Tales channel. My videos are meant to be viewed before bedtime. Before you start, write down where and when you were watching this video. Starting the stories. The Hollow Guest. They were a happy couple, at least by appearances. Emma and Daniel had just moved into a quaint old house nestled at the edge of Grinner Ridge Forza, a place more myth than map. Locals called it the forest that doesn't forgive, but neither of them believed in folklore. Not then. The first few nights were filled with laughter, long dinners, the hum of their record player spinning slow jazz. But by the end of the first week, something in the house shifted. It started with small things. The scent of soil in the hallway, the guest room door, which Emma swore she had locked, now slightly ajar. Daniel assumed it was a window, maybe the windows didn't seal properly. But then the whispering began. Not voices, just the sound of breathing, a wet and low, coming from the walls. They searched the vents. Nothing. They set up a baby monitor in the guest room. No animals, no sounds, just static. But every morning, without fail, the door was open again. One night, Daniel stayed up to catch the prank in action. He waited in the dark with a kitchen knife tucked beneath a blanket, eyes fixed on the hallway. At 3:17 a.m., the guest room door creaked open without a sound, but no one walked out. Instead, the hallway grew darker, not shadowed, darker, like light itself was being devoured. And in that thick pitch, something stepped forward. Daniel swears it didn't walk, it arrived. He never saw a face, just a tall shape, hollow in the center, like a body stretched too thin, skin like damp paper, limbs that bent too many times in the wrong places. And it stood there, head cocked, as if listening to him breathe. He blinked and it was gone. Emma didn't believe him at first. She thought stress was getting to him. But 2 nights later, she woke up to footsteps in the guest room, slow, wet, heavy. She listened as they circled the bed next door. Then a second set of footsteps joined them, lighter, familiar, her own. When she opened the door the next morning, the guest room mirror had been turned to face the wall, and someone had scrawled across it in condensation, "Only the house remembers who was real." From then on, neither of them slept. The room started changing. Walls warped slightly when you weren't looking. The floorboards shifted underfoot. Windows looked out onto parts of the forest that shouldn't exist, trees too tall, shadows that didn't move with the wind. One evening, Emma tried to leave the house, but the front door wouldn't open. Not stuck, watching, she screamed, and the echo came not from the house but from inside the guest room. In her voice, Daniel grew more distant. He stopped eating, sat for hours staring into corners like something might reach out and pull him through. Emma found sketches in his journal, drawings of the house, but wrong, bigger, endless hallways, stairs that curved upward forever. At the bottom of every page, the same phrase written in frantic, shaking letters. The guest never left. She begged him to leave with her, to burn the house if they had to, but he just smiled, a strange, hollow smile. "I am the guest," he whispered, and then he walked into the guest room and closed the door. That was 3 days ago. She hasn't seen him since. The room remains closed now, finally. But when she stands close to it, she hears them. Not just Daniel. All of them. The breaths, the footsteps, the old tenants, the forgotten. The house never had just one guest. And now Emma sleeps with the lights on, arms wrapped around herself, counting every breath she takes. Because sometimes, if she listens too closely, a broken bar, she hears someone else breathing in perfect unison. The nights no longer passed, they stretched. Emma stopped checking the time. Every clock in the house had begun ticking backwards anyway. Even her phone screen flickered now and then, showing timestamps that made no sense. 03:66, 0 o'clock. She wanted to leave, tried again, but every door she opened led back into the house. The front door spilled into the upstairs hallway. The back door opened into the living room. Once, she tried the guest room door, and it opened into her childhood bedroom, exactly as it had been the night her father died. Same lamp, same bed sheets, same unfinished drawing on the desk. But when she stepped inside and turned around, the door was gone. Just 4 walls, and breathing, not hers. She doesn't know how long she was in there. Could have been hours, could have been days. There was no sleep, only flickers of darkness when she blinked at each one, showing something closer in the room. When the door finally reappeared, it wasn't in the wall, it was in the floor, and it wasn't open, it was ajar. From the other side, like someone had just used it, she climbed out. The house looked the same, but the sky outside the windows was black, not night black, void, no stars, no clouds, no moon, just nothing. Since then, Emma hasn't dared to try the guest room again, but it's still there, breathing, watching. Sometimes, at night, she hears Daniel's voice through the walls, but not calling for her, not crying, talking, conversing with something in a language she doesn't recognize, a language that sounds like wind through bones and laughter in reverse. And now, the guest room door isn't the only one opening on its own. The kitchen cabinet swings open every 3:33 a.m. The attic hatch creaks down slowly while she brushes her teeth. Her own closet gapes wide when she returns from a room she swore she had just left. And last night, she found a note tucked beneath her pillow, written in Daniel's hand. Only 2 words. Don't blink. She knows now she was never the homeowner. She was always the guest, and the house has finally remembered. This morning, the mirrors were gone. Not shattered, not removed, gone. As if they were never installed to begin with. Where reflections used to be, there was just blank. Smooth wall, too smooth. No texture, no seams. Like skin stretched too tight over something that didn't want to be seen. Emma didn't scream. She couldn't. Her voice stopped working the moment she tried to say her own name. She wrote it down to be sure, Emma, but even the letters on the page looked unfamiliar now, like they were written by someone else, by a stranger with her handwriting. She found dirt in her shoes she didn't remember stepping in. Her fingernails were cracked, but she hadn't touched anything rough, and when she looked closely at her reflection in the window glass, the figure looking back didn't blink when she did, didn't smile when she tried, didn't move. Later that evening, she found Daniel's journal open on the dining table. She hadn't touched it since he vanished into the guest room. Every page was blank, except the last. There, scrawled in something far too dark to be ink, was a crude drawing of the house, but upside down, its roof buried into the earth like a coffin, its foundation floating in the sky. Inside, dozens of rooms spiraled outward from a single center, the guest room, and beneath it, a message scratched into the paper so violently it had torn through. The house isn't haunted, it's alive, and you're the infection. The breathing started again that night, not from one place this time, from all places. The walls, the floorboards, the oven, her hairbrush, even her own lungs didn't sound like hers anymore. She slept on the stairs, hugging herself, trying not to blink, trying not to move because movement attracted attention. At 3:33 a.m., the sound of footsteps returned, but not one set, dozens, heavy, slow, in rhythm, as if the house had been waiting for the perfect moment to let all of them out at once. And in the dark, she heard something else, scratching, from inside the guest room door, as if fingers, too many fingers, were tracing symbols on the other side. She tried to whisper Daniel one more time, but her voice cracked open like a wound. And the voice that answered wasn't his, it was hers, from the other side, laughing, calling her in. Welcome back, Emma. She ran, blind, barefoot, dizzy from terror. Emma bolted toward the staircase, but every step felt slower than the last, like the house had thickened, its very air congealing around her legs. The walls pulsed with movement now, veins of shadow trailing behind her, following her like scent trails on prey. As she reached the landing, something sharp slid under her skin, and not a blade, not glass, a whisper. It slithered into her ear and echoed from inside her skull. You forgot to close the door. She turned, heart in her throat. The guest room door stood wide open, and something stood just behind it, only visible in the periphery. Not tall, not hunched, not even fully there, just the suggestion of a figure, like an idea taking shape too slowly. She backed away, but her reflection stayed, still standing at the top of the stairs, facing the guest room, eyes wide, breathing calmly, and it smiled. Emma sprinted into the kitchen, but the lights flickered and dimmed as she passed. The walls seemed to bend inward, the ceiling lowering, the entire house reshaping to watch her. The fridge was humming a tune, a lullaby, one her mother used to sing, only she didn't remember ever telling anyone that. The tune stopped. The fridge door creaked open by itself, revealing only darkness, and then, slowly, a voice whispered from inside, "You left me behind, Emma." She slammed it shut, spun around, and Daniel stood there. At least, something wearing Daniel. The face was right, the clothes, but the skin was grayish, hollow in places, eyes pitch black and wet like oil, his limbs slightly off, too long, too thin, as though the memory of his body had been misremembered. He didn't speak, he just opened his arms, and dozens of voices screamed through his smile. She fell backward, hit the kitchen floor, scrambled toward the hallway aisle, and then it happened. Every door in the house opened at once, every single one, and inside each frame was her, Emma. Dozens of her, hundreds, each one twisted in a different way, one with bleeding sockets, one mouthing silent screams, one sewn shut, smile stretched ear to ear, one with no face at all, and they all looked at her with the same eyes, accusing, hungry, hollow. They stepped forward, in unison. Emma screamed, but her voice dissolved midair, choked off by the house itself. The walls buckled and bled, the floor split into chasms of black. Hands reached out from beneath the wood, tugging at her legs, her arms, her thoughts, and in the distance, the guest room door slammed shut. Silence, no breath, no whisper, only the stillness of a house that had fed. The police report would later say the house was empty. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just an overturned chair, a single handprint on the ceiling, and the words written into the dust on the hallway floor. Guest checked in, guest stayed forever. And if you ever visit Ridge Forest, they say the house still stands. Sometimes the windows fogged from the inside, sometimes you'll hear a record player softly spinning, and sometimes a broken bar. You'll see her in the window, smiling, inviting you in, but you shouldn't go in, not even for a second, not even if you think you hear someone calling your name from inside, because those who enter the house, they never leave, they just change. 3 months passed before anyone dared approach the place again. Urban explorers, thrill seekers, ghost hunters, they came with cameras and confidence, laughing into the lens as they pushed open the heavy, groaning door. None of them laughed on the way out, because no one ever walked out, but their footage did. One video surfaced online, just once, before being scrubbed completely, accounts deleted, names erased, metadata corrupted beyond recovery. It showed a short, shaky sequence of the house's interior. The explorers joke nervously in the hallway. The camera pans past the guest room. The door is closed, then a sound, a creak. The guest room door opens on its own. The frame goes dark as the camera drops. A woman screams, but it's not fear, it's recognition. "Emma?" someone says, the voice trembling. "No." Another whispers, "That's not Emma." Broken bar, then static, then laughter, not from any human throat. The video ends with one final shot, not of the house, not of the people, but of you, your own face, watching, staring back, mouthing words silently. "I'll see you soon." Now the house waits again. It doesn't call loudly, it doesn't beg, it just waits, for the curious, the lonely, the ones who stay just a little too long outside, staring up at the second floor window where a single figure still stands. Emma, or what's left of her. She no longer remembers who she was, only that she once opened a door, and never closed it. They say time doesn't work the same inside that house anymore. Sometimes people walk in and vanish, sometimes they walk out before they ever entered. One boy was found in the woods nearby, muttering backward sentences in a voice that wasn't his. His parents hadn't even reported him missing yet. He was still asleep in bed back home. When they checked, the boy in bed was gone. The one in the forest just stared into nothing, lips moving slowly. I dream with open eyes. And now, stories are changing. Locals whisper that the house isn't stuck in the woods. It's moving, not physically in number. It moves through attention. Every time someone tells its story, the house grows closer. Every time you watch the footage, you bring it nearer. And if you start to dream about it, even once, it already knows your name. A girl in another town woke up with dry dirt under her fingernails. She didn't own a garden. Her bed sheets were wet, muddy. She kept hearing breathing from her closet, and she lived nowhere near Greenridge Forest, except one thing. When her parents checked their old family photos, they found one they'd never seen before. A photo of the house, a little girl in the window, waving. And now, tonight, you're here, reading this. You're picturing the house. You've let it in just a little. That shadow, in the corner of your room, it wasn't there when you started reading, was it? Listen close. Can you hear it? That faint sound. Under everything else, like wood settling, or breathing, or whispering behind your ear. It's not far now. The guest room is waiting, and the door is already open for you. You didn't leave it behind. You brought it with you. The moment you let the image form in your mind, the peeling wallpaper, the windowless halls, the door at the end of the corridor, you carved a path to it, a shortcut. The house doesn't need to wait for you to visit anymore. It knows where you sleep. Some who've come this far report strange things afterward. Electronics flickering when the story is mentioned, cold spots in the center of rooms, perfectly round, dreams that don't feel like dreams, so where you're walking barefoot down a hallway you've never seen, yet somehow remember, and at the end of that hallway, always the same thing, a door, painted shut, until it opens. There was one mono-skeptical, sarcastic, proud. He mocked the story online, said it was nothing but creepypasta nonsense, posted memes, dared the haunted house to try him. The next morning, his followers noticed something strange in his latest live stream. The camera had flipped, the room behind him was mirrored, a furniture reversed, words on his shirt backwards, but his face wasn't mirrored at all. He wasn't blinking, he wasn't breathing, just smiling, perfectly still. Then the feed cut out, and in the final second, there was something behind him, a door, just beginning to creak open. You can stop reading, you can close your device, tell yourself it's fiction, forget the goosebumps crawling up your spine, but you'll still see it in your next dream. You'll still hear the creak of the door, impossibly loud, and maybe, just maybe, you'll feel something watching from behind your mirror tomorrow morning, waiting, smiling, because once you've imagined the guest room, you're already inside. And once you're inside, the house doesn't let you go, not completely. You'll walk through your home tomorrow and notice things slightly, a broken bar off, the light switches feel a little too warm, a hallway feels longer than it should, the mirror in your bathroom fogs before the water even runs. And when you wipe it clean, for the briefest second, your reflection doesn't follow your movements. That second stretches, feels like a minute, then it's gone, but something stayed. They say the guest room copies. It doesn't just trap you, it duplicates you, puts a version of you back into the world, one that looks like you, walks like you, speaks in your voice, but it's hollow inside. A skin suit stuffed with whispers, a marionette pulled by the breath of the house. And it watches, it waits, because its job isn't to blend in, its job is to invite others. One woman vanished for exactly 13 minutes, came back pale, shaky, unable to remember where she'd been. That night, her husband found her standing in the nursery, rocking an empty blanket and humming a lullaby they never taught their child. When he asked what she was doing, she turned to him, eyes pitch black, and whispered, "She's already here, she wants to meet you." He never saw his wife again, but every time he closes his eyes, he sees the guest room. And now you do too. The pattern always begins the same. A knock in the middle of the night 3 times. A whisper you can't understand but feel inside your skull. A dream where the floorboards pull at your feet like fingers. A reflection that moves half a second too late. Then the door appears, somewhere, anywhere, on a wall that didn't have one yesterday, in a place it should never be, at the foot of your bed, behind your closet, or worse, a broken bar on the ceiling, opening slowly, upside down. And once you see it, truly see it, the only way out is through. You either open the door or a broken bar, or it opens you, because the guest room doesn't wait forever. And tonight, it's closer than ever. You feel that, don't you? That cold breath on the back of your neck. Don't turn around, it's standing behind you, smiling. And now the room you're in is no longer the room you remember. The walls are too close, or too far. The corners stretch deeper into shadows that weren't there a moment ago. Your furniture stands like strangers, foreign in shape and angle. The air feels thick, like it's watching you inhale, waiting for you to notice. You already have. The lights flicker not all at once, Not like in movies, they go out one at a time, a soft pop, a slow fade, as though the house is dimming reality itself, gently pulling back the veil. The last light of your screen stays on just long enough to show your reflection again, but it's not you anymore. It's sitting in your place, reading this story, eyes locked on the words, head tilted ever so slightly, like it's listening for you. In a city across the country, a woman finds this same story at 3:07 a.m. She reads to the end, laughs it off, closes her laptop. Then she notices a smell, a faint one, like wet wood, like old, rotting wallpaper. She traces it to her bedroom closet. The door is cracked. She doesn't remember leaving it open. She peers inside and sees a hallway. No clothes, no shelves, just an impossible corridor of flickering bulbs and peeling paint, leading to a single door at the end, a white, old-fashioned, slightly ajar. She blinks, and it's gone. Closet's empty, but the smell remains. The guest room is expanding, each telling, each click, each shared whisper. It grows, not in size, but in reach. It doesn't just wait anymore. It follows, through stories, through screens, through silence, through you. And now you've read this far, the guest room knows you're listening, knows you're feeling it. It's already found a place in your thoughts. That persistent image of a door, that sensation of being watched from the darkest corner of your room, that tickle at the base of your skull, the one you're feeling right now. That's not your nerves, that's the key turning in the lock. Because once the guest room enters your mind, the only way out is letting it in. The door is open now, not metaphorically, not in some dream or distant hallway. It's here, right where you are. You don't see eye to eye, but your body knows. That chill crawling up your spine? That's not fear, that's recognition. Your instincts are older than your logic. They remember places like this, places that should not exist, rooms that shouldn't fit inside homes, spaces that twist more than walls and time. The guest room is one of them, and it's been waiting for you. You wake up tonight, or maybe tomorrow, and something will be different. The air will be still, too still. The kind of silence that eats sound, that presses against your ears until you hear nothing but your own heartbeat, loud and slow and watched. You'll rise. You won't mean to. You'll just find yourself standing, barefoot, walking down a hallway in your home that shouldn't be there. One you've never walked before, yet your feet seem to know it. You'll see the door, white, familiar, the brass knob stained with something dark, something old, and you'll reach for it, not because you want to, because there's something behind it, whispering just loud enough for your bones to ache, and you'll open it. Inside, the guest room is perfect, too perfect. The wallpaper is clean, the light is soft, the air smells like something from your childhood, something safe. You'll feel calm here, you'll feel welcome, but look closer. The wallpaper isn't floral, it's eyes, tiny, watching, blinking slowly when you're not looking directly at them. The furniture breathes when you turn your back, the bed creaks without weight, the mirror reflects the room exactly except for you. You're not in it, and when you try to leave it, if you try, the door won't be where you left it. There'll be a mirror there now, and inside it, you'll finally see yourself, but it won't be you. It will smile, it will wave, and then it will step out. Your body walks out of the house the next morning. Your face smiles at your neighbors. Your voice answers your phone. But it's not you anymore. You're still in the guest room. You always will be, because no one ever leaves the guest room. They just make room for the next guest. The man who walks backwards. It started in a grocery store parking lot, just after 2 a.m. The security camera caught him, a thin, pale, wearing clothes 2 sizes too small. He walked across the asphalt in a perfect straight line, backwards, not stumbling, not turning to look, every step clean and deliberate, like he knew exactly where he was going, a broken bar or where he had already been. The footage loops for 27 seconds before he disappears off screen. The guard watching it live swore he blinked and the man was gone. No footsteps, no shadow, no trace, just a cold gust of wind that rattled every cart in the corral and that awful clicking sound, like knuckles popping underwater. A week later, a girl disappeared from the same parking lot. Her name was Sadie Thorne, 17. Last seen walking to her car after a night shift. No struggle, no signs of a break-in, just her phone left on the driver's seat, screen still recording video. The video was only 3 seconds long. In it, Sadie's voice is calm, almost amused. "Oh my God, who walks like that?" Then static, and silence. The town whispered. They called him the backward man, said he'd been spotted in other places always between 2 and 3 a.m., always gliding in reverse. Some said he was a ghost, others said he was something older, mimicking us poorly, like a recording played the wrong way. One man claimed he saw him on a rural road outside town, said the man was walking backward down the center line, barefoot on broken glass, with a grin so wide it looked like it hurt. When asked what he did, the man just shook his head. "I couldn't look away, my body was frozen, but I'm in a broken bar." My mind started counting down. The dreams started next. First in children, they'd wake up screaming about a man with his eyes on the wrong side, who crawled backwards across their ceiling, whispering numbers in their ears. Adults followed, but they didn't wake up screaming. They woke up walking, backwards, always backwards, eyes rolled back, feet bleeding, mouthing one word they couldn't remember by morning. Only security footage showed their lips clearly saying it. Welcome. Last month, a boy was found on the edge of town, standing barefoot in a soybean field. He was facing the woods, unmoving, his clothes soaked in dew. When approached, he didn't blink, didn't speak, just stepped back, once, twice. Then a voice he had not heard came out of his mouth. He walks to erase the path behind. He walks until you forget how to run. He walks, so the world forgets how to end. And then he collapsed. No pulse, no breath, but his lips kept moving for a full minute after. Tonight, the clocks in town started ticking in reverse, just a second slower, just enough for the shadows to feel off, and on every TV, even those unplugged, a figure began to fade in, a silhouette, moving backward through snow, arms open, eyes wide, and smiling. If you see him, don't turn away. He hates that. They say the ones who look away vanish in pieces. Not all at once. First, their reflection disappears. Mirrors show an empty room behind them. Then their voice starts to lag a half a beat behind their lips. Like a bad dub, people stop remembering their name. Photos blur where they stood. Memories warp and twist until even family swears they were never born. One girl tried to fight it. She covered her mirrors, kept every light in her house blazing, slept in shifts, but the backward ticking of her clocks never stopped. When they found her, every surface in her home was scratched with one phrase: "He's behind me now." Across the country, sightings surged, always around 2:43 a.m., always walking away from you, but somehow getting closer. One man in Montana was recorded sprinting across a frozen lake barefoot, bleeding and screaming that the man who walks backwards had touched his shadow, that it hurt, that he could feel it rewinding. They say he's still running. They say he can't stop, because stopping means turning around, and turning around is what he wants. The legends vary. Some say the backward man is a leftover memory, a ghost of a future that never happened. Others claim he's a punishment, a manifestation of all the times we tried to go back, undo mistakes, reverse the inevitable. But the pattern is clear. He follows the forgotten. He finds those who regret. He feeds on rewind. You'll know he's near when the static comes, so when your radio starts playing voices in reverse, when your breath fogs on a warm night, when the stars above you seem just slightly misaligned. And if you hear footsteps behind you, a broken bar, not fast, not loud, just slow, steady scraping across wood or tightly broken bar, do not move, do not speak, do not run, because he's watching you, from before, and he's waiting for you to forget what direction you're facing. It's always the same with his victims. First, the clocks, they tick out of rhythm, a heartbeat you can't place. Then come the dreams, of fragments, in black and white. You see yourself in third person, walking backwards through a hallway that shouldn't exist. The lights above buzz like flies. There's a mirror at the end, and when you reach it, you never stop. You walk into it, and you wake up with your hands cold and covered in dust. Every single time. A couple in Vermont tried to record him. They set up motion-triggered cameras all around their barn after hearing footsteps every night just before 3 a.m. But never from outside, always from inside, where nothing should have been. What the footage showed was a broken bar impossible. At exactly 2:47 a.m., the door to the barn creaked open by itself. The air inside warped, like heat rising from pavement, and then something entered frame. Not a person, not fully, just a shape with limbs too long and elbows bent the wrong way, gliding backwards across the dirt floor. Its head was twisted, not snapped, not broken, just a broken bar reversed. When the couple reviewed the footage, the man began to laugh, quietly at first, then louder and louder, until his nose bled and his eyes rolled back and he whispered, "It's me, I remember now." She ran. He didn't. The next night, all the doors in the town swung open at once. Security footage from a diner showed ketchup bottles squirting in reverse, hot coffee pouring back into pots, and every clock's hands spinning counterclockwise until they shattered. And out of the alley behind the building, he came, backwards, head tilted, that same slow, steady smile. This time he stopped, just for a moment, and looked over his shoulder. If that ever happens to you, if he looks at you, it means your timeline is bending. You'll start to see duplicates of yourself in crowds, a car that drives past twice, strangers mouthing your name before you've told it to them. You'll catch your own reflection doing things you aren't. And if you look long enough at a broken bar, if you stare too hard into your own eye as a broken bar, you'll see him, behind you, just out of frame, stepping backwards, arms reaching, slow and wide. He doesn't want to kill you, he wants to reverse you, so when you disappear, no one will even notice you're gone, because you never existed at all. They say your first memory disappears the moment he steps into your life, something similar like the smell of your childhood home, the name of a favorite toy, a voice you loved but now can't place. You'll shrug it off at first. Everyone forgets things, everyone misremembers, but then more pieces vanish. Your handwriting looks foreign, your dog flinches when you call its name, strangers wave like they know you, but you don't wave back. You find photographs in your own home where your face has been smudged out, not with ink or damage, just a broken bar missing, like you were never part of the moment. There's a theory that the backward man isn't walking away from us, he's dragging something behind him, something large, something ancient, something made of memory, a collective forgetting, alive and hungry. Each time he visits a new town, more things are lost. The buildings people no longer remember building, children whose birthdays fade from every record, entire families reduced to a dusty room and a humming sound no one can explain. When they mapped his movements, it formed a spiral, a perfect, tightening loop, and in the very center broken bar, a place that no one remembers existing, because the map burns when it gets too close. A radio host once dared listeners to say his name aloud at 2:43 a.m., just once. The backward man, one caller did, a woman from Kansas. Midway through her call, her voice slowed down, the line crackled, and then, in reverse, her last sentence played back across the airwaves. He's already inside the room. Her phone kept recording for 13 more minutes. Only one sound, breathing, not hers. Now there are rules, unspoken, but followed. If you hear footsteps approaching but never see anyone, don't turn around. If the mirror doesn't match your movements, cover it and leave. If someone greets you using your full name and you don't recognize them, run. And never, under any circumstance, open a door that wasn't there yesterday, because once you step through it, he knows your shape, your mind, your path, and he'll start to walk it backward, not fast, not loud, but absolutely unstoppable, step by step, smile by smiley, until everything you were has unraveled behind him. You'll start to feel it before you see it, that quiet sense that you're living out of order, conversations you swear haven't happened yet already finished, a voicemail from your mother that starts with, "I know this doesn't make sense, but please don't look under the bed." Then your phone deletes itself, not the data, the phone, the physical object, gone. In its place, a smear on the table like something oily was dragged backwards through reality. That's the point where people begin to lose their own timelines. There was a boy in Idaho 11 years old who started walking to school one day and never arrived, except he did. He showed up in the classroom, seated, silent, already scribbling into his notebook when the teacher arrived, but the notebook was filled cover to cover with the same phrase. I took the long way back. Over and over again, he never spoke another word, and when they checked the cameras, they watched him walk backwards through 4 intersections, never turning his head, never blinking, just following a figure 10 paces ahead, barely visible, out of focus, smiling. Some believe the backward man was human once, a time traveler, a chrononaut lost between ticks of a broken clock, someone who tried to undo too much, and now, like a tape rewound too often, plays only in reverse. But others a broken bar. Others say he's not a he at all, that he's a symptom, a warning, that the world is unraveling under the weight of its own regrets. And every time you hear the distant, rhythmic, thump-like footsteps in syrup, it means someone, somewhere, made a choice they shouldn't have. And now he's walking their path, backwards. The town of Linsdale vanished last Thursday. Population? 4,041. Just a broken bar gone. Google still shows the roads, satellite still shows trees, but if you try to drive there, your GPS spins and loops and the road signs flicker like dying light bulbs. All that remains is one voicemail left on a tourist's phone. We opened the wrong door. He was already walking, tonight, at 2:43 a.m. Check your windows, not for faces, for reflections that don't belong to you. Because if you see one smile where you shouldn't, if you catch yourself in the glass doing something you didn't, then he's close. And soon a broken bar, you'll start to remember things in reverse. The funeral before the accident, the scream before the fall, the shadow under the door before the knock, and the voicea, your own voicea whispering backwards from your lips. He's walking me home. Eventually, time stops feeling like time. You'll wake up in the middle of the night with tears drying on your face. No memory of crying. You'll find mud on your shoes, a cold weight and footprints leading backwards from your bed to the front door. You'll check your cameras, but the footage just shows you standing still, for hours, blinking slowly, smiling faintly, occasionally mouthing things like, "I was happy once." Don't rewind this. He's almost finished, and behind you, flickering in and out of visibility like bad reception, he's there, half shadow, half man, standing backward, head tilted up, arms slightly lifted, waiting for your mind to catch up. The government denies his existence, but one leaked report, a blurry, heavily redacted, lists a series of nationwide temporal incidents, each marked by identical anomalies: clocks reversing, hallways growing longer overnight, people found wandering roads in reverse gait, whispering years in descending order. At the bottom of the report, scrawled in pen, Project Rewind failed, containment impossible, do not engage if facing away. In one small Alaskan town, a priest went mad trying to cleanse the church after claiming he saw the backward man standing at the altar and upside down, weeping silently, mouthing a hymn that had never been written. The church bells rang backward for 40 minutes, every mirror in the building shattered inward. When they found the priest, his mouth was sewn shut with twine soaked in ink, and carved into his chest were the words, "He walks where faith dies." People who try to confront him don't disappear, they dissolve, not like melting, like memory loss, gradual and cruel. You'll still see them around, waving from windows, buying groceries, brushing their teeth, but they won't answer when you speak. They don't blink when you cry. They just move through life on rewind, their actions looping more and more tightly until they vanish into a moment no one can recall, like a VHS tape rewound to dust. The backward man never speaks, but he doesn't have to, because once he's chosen you, you'll start hearing your own voice whispering in your sleep. We've already met. You already said yes. You were the one who stepped back first, and by then it's too late, because once he's walking your path in reverse, the only way to stop him is to turn around. But that's the final rule. Never turn around, never face him, never give him the satisfaction of your fear, because if you do broken bar you'll see the truth, that it was always you. You've been walking backwards your entire life. Some who survive, if you can call it that, say it's not the footsteps that drive you mad, it's the laughter, not loud, not mocking, but soft breath, a broken bar, like someone chuckling through clenched teeth from just behind your ear. It starts the moment you doubt yourself, or when you forget which day it is, or when a memory slips through your fingers like smoke. You hear it when you check the closet you closed, when the photo album has one more picture than yesterday, when your voicemail replays itself in reverse. And if you ask anyone else, if friends, family, doctors, they'll give you that tilted head stare and say, "What photo album?" There's a gas station on Route 12 that's always open but never staffed. Inside, the aisles are pristine, untouched, no dust, no time. But if you go there just before 3 a.m., every screen flickers on, security monitors, arcade machines, even the ancient register, and all of them show you, standing still, facing away, and behind you, closer in each screen, the same tall, bent-limbed shape, smiling, always smiling. One traveler left a note taped to the glass freezer door. He's not walking backward, we're all walking forward into his past. They say the backward man doesn't just erase people, he erases choices, moments where something could have gone differently, a phone call you should have answered, a locked door you shouldn't have opened, the time you laughed when you should have screamed. And once he's taken enough of those from you, reality bends, a little at first, a colors shift, smells echo, sounds drag too long. Then comes the final stage, temporal collapse. That's when you feel it in your bone, as like your spine is being unscrewed from the wrong end. Every breath backwards, every thought a mirror of what it was. You see yourself younger in reflections. You remember being old. Your dreams happen before you fall asleep, and the world around you starts flickering like a dying film reel, not breaking, rewinding. In the last town he passed through, what little was left of Ida, a single camera survived. Black and white footage, 10 people standing in the town square, all facing away from the center, eyes wide, silent, not blinking, and at the center broken bar, a hole, not a pit, not a crack, a lack, an absence so total it hummed. They didn't move, not even when the sun reversed direction. They just stood there, while shadows flowed backward across their faces. Then, without warning, one by one, they folded in on themselves, like a sheet of paper crumpling without a hand to crush it. A breath sucked backward into nothing, and in the very last frame, a broken bar, his head turned, not fully, not violently, just slightly enough to see the curve of his cheek, that impossibly wide, upturned grin, and one eye, looking right at the camera, right at us, and smiling. There are stories that say if you watch him too long, if your eyes meet his in a reflection, or on a screen, he doesn't need to find you. You're already his, because he doesn't move like a predator, he doesn't chase, he waits. He walks your path in reverse until the moment you chose to look. That single, fatal glance is the stitch he pulls loose, and the rest of your life begins to unravel. In the ruins of a burnt-out motel in Arizona, they found a single guest registry, untouched by the fire. Every name on it was scrawled in the same handwriting, all signed yesterday's date, over and over, and beside each name, the same phrase written in red ink. He walked me home. I never left. The security footage they recovered didn't show guests arriving, it showed them vanishing, not in a flash or a scream, just mid-step, mid-sentence. A man holding a toothbrush, a woman adjusting her scarf, a child blinking, and then, empty air. A sleep clinic in Berlin once studied patients who claimed their dreams played in reverse. On the 7th night, all 12 patients synchronized. They stopped dreaming. Instead, they watched, night after night. Each of them described the exact same vision. A house with no windows, a staircase with no bottom, and a man in a dark suit with his back always turned, arms outstretched. He walked through their memories like someone skimming a photo album and never touching, just a broken bar observing, and every time he passed, something was gone the next day. A favorite word, the smell of a parent, the knowledge of how to breathe without thinking. One patient wrote, in shaking hands, before they lost the ability to write altogether. He doesn't steal what you love, he steals what makes you you. There's a final stage, people call it echoing. It begins when you start to hear yourself before you speak a half a second early. A faint, reversed whisper of the words you're about to say. At first it's subtle, you think it's your imagination, your mind running ahead, but soon, you'll hear footsteps after you've stopped walking, breathing when you're holding your breath, laughter in the room you just left, and the worst part, you'll see signs of your own future actions before you do them. A door already open, a message already typed on your screen, a bruise on your arm you'll get later today. And when you finally catch yourself when you realize you're no longer living now, but merely echoing what you've already done, he'll be there, just behind the next breath, waiting, smiling, silent, because you're not being haunted, you're being rewound. You'll know it's almost over when you start to vanish from the memories of others, not dramatically, not instantly, just a broken bar quietly. Your name will feel foreign in their mouths, your face will slip from photos, pixel by pixel. You'll walk into a room and someone will pause, confused, because they're sure they were just alone, and you were, you always were. There's no grand confrontation with the backward man, no final scream, no mirror shattering at the climax, no fire or fury or desperate last stand. There's only you, and the space where you used to be. You'll wake up one morning and everything will feel a little too bright, your room will look staged, your body will feel too light, you'll reach for your reflection and it won't move with you, and when you speak, your voice will come out backwards. People say you can resist him, some try, they fill their homes with clocks, surround themselves with noise, with movement, with memory trying to drown out the pull. They repeat their names like mantras, they cling to photos, write journal entries on their skin, scream into recorders just to hear themselves say, I'm still here, I'm still real. But nothing stops the backwards drift, not when he's already walking, and one day, the final piece slips, the last thread of who you were unwinds, you become the smudge in the photo, the silence in the call, the dream someone half remembers before waking up in tears. You don't die, you don't disappear, you just a broken bar reverse, back through every word, every moment, every breath, back through your childhood, your birth, your first thought, until there's only one moment left, a choice you never realized you made, a step you took without thinking, a glance backwards at him. And when that moment comes full circle, when it replays again and again, you'll see what everyone eventually sees. He wasn't following you, he was leading you back home.